Rachel Maddow's at MSNBC once a week. To me, that's once a week too often. And she says pretty much that Elon Musk is going to regret the purchase of Twitter. Now, she would know, being an entrepreneur and being a successful businesswoman, she's none of those things. She's an idiot. She's a big mouth. It's very, very hard, you see, to get wealthy and get a position on liberal platforms if you're a liberal. I say that tongue-in-cheek. Let's take a listen. Go.
And one of the things that we've seen when other people have not taken over big media companies, but started their own niche media companies on this issue of free speech and not doing content moderation and it being a wide open Wild West, and that's the point of it, is that pretty quickly.
He didn't say it's going to be a wide open Wild West. There may be some restrictions. I mean, if somebody gets on there and commits acts of libel and so forth, I suspect they're going to want to take a look at that, because they don't want to be exposed. If somebody's on there saying, I'm going to kill my wife in 3 minutes, I don't think that's going to be allowed. And certain other things, if somebody's just a racist or an anti-Semite or a bigot or whatever. So, but this wide open Wild West, putting all that aside, there's a big box, a huge box. So if people want to debate masks, they want to debate vaccines, people want to debate politics. They want to debate climate change. What's happening with the big oligarchs is climate change, no. You either believe it or you're out, or we give you the scarlet letter. You don't agree with the mask? Disinformation, misinformation. As Obama says, you're going to get people killed. He would know. But anyway, so you're off. And these are scientists and medical doctors and other people who want to have that discussion. That shouldn't be banned or censored or anything of the kind. If somebody is a kook, it'll be figured out. It'll be known. The problem we've had with big tech and these oligarchs is propaganda that goes in one direction. That's the problem. And the idea that you would ban a former president from Twitter, Donald Trump, who says he's not going back, he's got his own that he's created, and yet the Ayatollah Khamenei, or one of those thugs, genocidal maniacs, is still able to communicate on a Twitter is absurd. And when you consider all the business these big oligarchs do in communist China, it's amazing. I noticed that Bezos attacked Musk for doing business in China. I said, wait a minute. Does Amazon do business in China? Of course they do. Doesn't Amazon buy stuff? Isn't it a go-between for China products? Of course it is. So he quickly pulled the tweet because he realized, oops, I made an ass out of myself, as he often does. Go.
We get lots of ISIS beheading videos and, child pornography and,
Oh, child pornography. Wait a minute. We just had a nominee to the Supreme Court of the United States, who was just confirmed, who went soft on punishment for child pornographers and those who watch it. I don't remember Rachel Maddow speaking out against her, do you? She went under the average sentence, way under the sentencing guidelines for these pervs. And everybody says, why? Oh, you must be a racist. Don't you understand? She's a historic figure. She's our first African-American birthing woman. Now, if you don't like it, there's something wrong with you. Don't be nasty. This is what they say. This is what they say. And by the way, the same people, again, a footnote, we have a gentleman by the name of Evans, Bishop Evans. He was with the Texas National Guard. He was not a border guard. He didn't sign up for that. But he goes into the Rio Grande, saves 2 people. Turns out they are drug smugglers, and he drowns and dies. And this man served 2 tours, I believe it was in Iraq, is a hero. Nobody will attend his funeral from Washington. He was an African American. Nobody will talk about what a fantastic man he is. No, because he is the background of a great patriot, a great hero. They'll never mention him, and yet Biden's policies forced the National Guard in Texas to get on that border and this man to drown to death. I'm not trying to go off on tributaries here. This is important to me. but because he's not famous, or he doesn't have power, or he won't be on the court issuing left-wing, decisions rather than adjudicating honestly, they don't care. They won't even mention his name. Biden won't go down there. Harris won't go down there for any memorial, any actual funeral. No. Go ahead.
Eating disorder, dysmorphia photos, and other things that in some cases are illegal, and in other cases make the use of the site impossible for normal humans with normal gag reflexes. Is that fair? And B, how does a
Kind of a stupid question is this? Freedom and free speech have what they have. We can't make a perfect situation. If we make a perfect situation, we have genocide. We have all-powerful government deciding what is and isn't perfect. Rachel Maddow must not be aware of her own network, where they have racists left and right, where they abound, where they say the most disgusting things. And I'm specifically talking about Joy Reid and Tiffany Cross, among others, some of the guests they bring on. The constant references when Trump was president to Hitler and Nazism and so forth. I guess she doesn't understand that. But nonetheless, there will be some restrictions. But what I'm talking about is areas where there never should be restrictions. So that's why Rachel Maddow doesn't say things like, there should be no debate on vaccines, because she'd look like a fool. There should be no debate on masks, because she'd look like a fool. There should be no debate on climate change, because she'd look like a fool. In fact, there should be no debate on the radical left Marxist agenda, because she'd look like a fool. There should be no debate on transgenderism taught to our little babies and kids. Well, that's the issue. To be honest with me, are we going to be allowed to confront big government and the iron fist? Are we going to be allowed to confront the American Marxist movements that are in our campuses, colleges, and public schools, and in our culture being promoted by this government? The answer is, hopefully on Twitter now we can. That's what the reaction, it's not the reaction to somebody barfing on social media or something of that sort. It's perfectly legitimate debate being squashed by Silicon Valley oligarchs. It is a conservative perspective or philosophy being squashed. It is real scientists and mathematicians and medical doctors and others who are cut out from the debate, the competition of ideas. These are the same people who have tried to crush conservative talk radio. These are the same people who want to put Fox out of business by taking away their access to various cable platforms. That's who they are. They are fundamentally totalitarian in their thinking. Go ahead.
Mr. Musk contend with that? How would a Mr. Musk contend with that kind of previous experience and other people who've taken on the same task?
Yeah, look, that's incredibly fair from both sides of this, from both sides of this of the spectrum here, from the extremist forum side and from the civilian internet side. So on the civilian internet side, you have stuff like TikTok and Twitter and Facebook. And here's a content moderation challenge from TikTok from a few weeks ago. First of
all, I love it when employees of the same network interview each other. So this guy's an NBC so-called reporter. She's an MSNBC so-called host, and they're interviewing each other about a platform that they thought they intellectually and ideologically owned, Twitter. Oh, what do you think about this? How can I do this? How about we have a debate on what Twitter had become, which is a propaganda operation for the left, for big government, and a thuggish operation for anybody who had a different thought. Go ahead.
Girl on TikTok was trying to make slime, the stuff that like 12-year-olds play with. She was trying to make slime and she made napalm by mistake. Now, is that free speech? Should you leave that up?
So does anyone have a problem with them cutting that out? I don't. Do you, Mr. Producer? She made napalm. Okay. First of all, it's hard to cut out after the fact, but once it's up there, you can remove it. Is anybody debating this? Making napalm by accident on the internet? No, why don't they debate the issues that brought us to this point? Why don't you, pal? Go ahead.
TikTok took that down. They found it and they were like, this is very dangerous, really bad. Should take this down. We shouldn't be teaching kids how to make napalm.
Don't wear masks on a plane. That's very dangerous. That should be taken down. Right? No, it's not dangerous and it shouldn't be taken down. I can give you a million things that aren't dangerous that shouldn't be taken down. Go ahead.
That's an issue. I would bet Elon Musk's Twitter is going to take that down. But I don't know. I'm not really sure here what falls into that.
So what if he does? What he said is, when in doubt, side with free speech. I would be very hesitant to ban somebody for life. Wow. So now, what do these people talk about? Throw up and napalm. Have throw up and napalm been an issue? Do we have conservatives and others, civil libertarians who used to be of the left as well? We have them saying, I insist that throw up and napalm be allowed on social media. No. This is an unserious discussion by two knuckleheads. Go ahead.
Into that space, especially now that he's taking the company private, oversight for this sort of thing will be very different. And I will say, by the way, Rachel, everybody has a line. 4chan, for example, everyone thinks that...
First of all, that wallpaper behind your head is really ugly. It's distracting, isn't it, Mr. Producer? I mean, with the flowers and the leaves and everything, just a thought. And it clashes with the picture as well as the lamp. Go ahead.
Is the worst site on the internet. And it was for a long time. But they had a line. They had a direct line. And that line to them was anime depictions of child pornography.
Thank you. No more. What did we learn from these two knuckleheads? Zippo.
Want to see more? Sign up for LevinTV.